to order, and with that, we will take the roll.
Representative Campbell.
Here.
Representative Connolly. Representative Harshman.
Here.
Representative Jarvis.
Here.
Representative Provenza.
Here.
Representative Storer.
Here.
Representative Thayer.
Excused.
Representative Wharf.
Here.
Chairman Byron.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, folks, we're going to get right into Senate files today. We'll start with Senate File 27. And to present Senate File 27, we have the good chairman of Senate TRW, our good friend Senator Landon here. Welcome to the best committee in the House, Chairman.
Fellow committee members, it's good to see everyone. It's been a while. God bless you. You guys are the warriors. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to present Senate File 27. This, you might remember as a committee, this was an issue that came to us late in the interim. It was not on our interim list, and we tried to abide by what the Management Council set us out to do, and this was not one of them. And so we did, though, several of us thought this was a really good idea. This issue was addressed in about 2019, Chairman, and what it does, 233109 is a statute that details the use of dogs in being able to track down wounded animals out in the field. Since black bears are classified as trophy game, they were not included in the big game statute. And so all this does, if you'll notice over on page 2, all it does is bring black bears underneath this same statute. It's a fairly extensive statute, committee members. It really does detail the use of those dogs. Has to be done within 72 hours, 50, 60-foot leash that the dog has to be on. So that didn't change a thing there. It just adds the black bear to that list. I could go into a lot more detail, and there's some experts behind me, but I'll stop there for any questions. It's a pretty brief black bear bill.
Thank you, Chairman, for the explanation
You
of the
bet.
bill. Committee, any questions?
Chairman,
Yes, Vice Chair Harshman.
must be a perfect bill. There's been no amendments
White.
passed it in.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we had some bloodhounds over there that were right on it. So
Yeah,
it sailed right through. It was really, I do want to recognize, we had one of our constituents out of Rock River, Wyoming, who came to us and really appreciated her. So a little tip of the hat to bringing up a very good bill. Just regarding the ethics of hunting and being out there in the field, we don't want to leave anything. We all grew up that way. We know as hunters that that's one of the creeds, and if we can retrieve one of these game animals, we want to do it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Really appreciate that. Committee, any other questions of our friend down the hallway? Any other questions? Seeing none, stick around. We might have
Thank
one
you.
for you. And with that, we will go to
Appreciate it.
agency. Any agency want to come chat about it? Chief Warden Smith, welcome. So great to see you.
Good
We usually
afternoon.
see a lot of each other, and you haven't
Isn't that
had to
great?
see us, I guess that we'll say it that way. Please proceed.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Dan Smith. I'm the Chief Game Warden and Wildlife Division Chief for the Game and Fish Department. I don't know that I'm quite the expert that the previous speaker tried to allude to, so maybe there's others in the room, but I will comment shortly on the bill. As he noted, in 2019, Wyoming Statute 233109 was amended to allow the use of blood trailing dogs to track big game animals. And as you all know already, big game animals include antelope, bighorn sheep, deer, elk, moose, and mountain goat, but did not include the what we call trophy game animals, which would include black bear. And so under that existing statute, as noted previously, a person may use a blood trailing dog, but they have to have it on a leash, less than 50 feet long. They have to wear fluorescent orange. And then they have to euthanize the animal in a manner that's legal to do. And so this bill would allow black bear hunters to have that same ability. Nothing else in the law changes. So they would still have to follow those same requirements. And it does allow for potentially locating a wounded black bear sooner, and so that we're not leaving something out there wounded. And even in a bear that is harvested in a great way, it just disappears into the bush and you can't find it. It might help locate that faster. And so this did change in 2019, and we have not documented any violations of people not using blood trailing dogs appropriately in the last 5 years. So that's all I got. I would stand for any questions.
Thank you, Chief Smith. Committee, any questions of our chief? Any questions, Representative Worf?
Thank you. I noticed that it just is black bears. Does it make any sense to make it for trophy game animals, or we blanket the big game? Does it make any sense to blanket all trophy game animals? Because that's basically wolves in some areas and bears and lions, mountain lions.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Worf, it's already legal to use dogs to hunt mountain lions. And so in most of those cases, that animal's not disappearing from where it's hunted at. Grizzly bears will be there as soon as they're delisted. And so maybe at that time it'd be appropriate. I think to try a blanket statement right now probably wouldn't be helpful. And I'm not sure where I feel on wolves, if it would be helpful or not.
Yeah, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'm not looking to make an amendment. I was just asking because, I'd rather than have to name species, I would rather go with the classification. But I think it's a good bill where it is, and I'm not going to propose any changes to that, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Game Warden.
Well, I certainly appreciate that, Representative Worf. I know that Goodbringer does too. Committee, any other questions of Chief Smith? Seeing none, don't go far. We might ask more. Any other
Thank you, Committee.
agency in here that wants to comment? Agency, seeing none. I do know we have some public comment on this. So with that, I will welcome you up. We're pretty friendly, I promise. Please fill the chair. Come on up. I think you had a long drive, so introduce yourself. And I think I know where this might be going. Really, thank you for being here today. Or Jess, if you want to start, and then.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Jess Johnson, Wyoming Wildlife Federation, rising in very much support of this bill. I will say, dear Lord, don't make it trophy game. Keep it species specific on this one, because what we bring down on us, grizzly bears also fit in that, and we really don't want to have that discussion. But what I would say is more from a personal aspect of before the original bill that allowed for wounded game recovery passed, I was a new hunter, and I was a bow hunter, still am, and took a 12-yard shot on a 6x6 elk and felt the arrow went to the right place. He was wobbling. He was looking like he was going down. If I'd known then what I know now, I probably would have put another arrow in him, but I didn't. And he was my second ever animal, and he wandered out of sight. And my partner that I was with at the time said, we'll give it a half hour and we'll go find him. That looked like a great shot. He'll be right there. He wasn't. It took me 5 days to find him. And he went 436 yards uphill and died in a marsh. Had I had the ability to call someone with a blood trailing dog, I would have found him that day, because I did shoot exactly like I thought I did. It was a good shot. But some animals have a will to live that is, it's what we admire. It's what we do our best to make sure we do right by them. And so I see this as an extension of doing right by the animals. Black bears have a toughness that is pretty much unmatched to any other animal I've seen. They do squirrel away into strange places. They have a different behavior than a lot of the prey animals. And so this I see as a very natural sort of progression into making sure that we do right by everything, that we're offering our hunters like perfect tool to make sure that we are giving the respect that we need. And, so we can bring that good meat out of the field eventually. As you all know that have been to the Sportsman legislative receptions, we want people recovering the black bear. They do taste good. So I would just stand in support of this bill, both from WWS perspective, but I would say as a adult onset hunter who's been hunting 15 years, mistakes happen no matter how good we try. And this is a very, very important thing for the state to offer to make sure that we're doing right by the wildlife.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Committee, any questions of Ms. Johnson? Thank you for your testimony. Really appreciate it. With that, we'll move on. Please introduce yourself, make sure that light's green, and tell us where you're from and who you're representing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Julie McAllister. I'm representing myself and also Rocky Mountain Big Game Recovery, which is a blood trailing dog association. We cover a number of states. There's quite a few of us in Wyoming. And quite frankly, I'd like to speak to them very first. They're the most ethical group of people I've ever met in my life. I've never seen 6 or 7 people show up to try to find an elk 4 days later just because we're trying desperately to figure out what went wrong. I've never seen people try so hard to conclude a hunt, to do it right, to bring that meat home. Thank you so much to this committee, to the good chairman across the way for bringing this. There's a couple co-sponsors in here. I just want to add a couple quick things to your day. I did a quick informal survey with Rocky Mountain Big Game Recovery on how many black bear calls in Wyoming just last year we refused. And we had to cut the number in half to make sure we weren't doubling calls, because a lot of times they call more than one tracker, and we easily came up with 30 bears. That's a lot of dead animals that a hunter cannot find that a bear can. Bears also have a unique ability no other animal really has. They plug their holes with fat, even firearm holes. I've seen a 45-70 hole plugged. Never seen an elk do that, or any other game animal. Bears can do it just because of their physiology. A dog will find them every single time. They smell horribly, and they're not just following the blood. They're following that pheromone smell of the animal. We spend a lot of time training, a lot of time working together, a lot of time perfecting what we do. One last thing, my personal dog, Eddie, did a 320-yard track with 0 blood. And I mean 0 blood. 4 other hunters went over that track. We carry GPSs, obviously. And none of us could find a drop of blood. And we had a dead bear on the other end of it with recoverable meat. And that's all we're trying to do. Mountain lions, to Representative Worf's question, just personal knowledge, hound dogs that are trained for lion are totally different than what we do for blood tracking. It's a different type of training. I personally know very little about it and would never dare speak to it because I know how specialized it is. So while I certainly understand the logic and the simplicity, I don't think it necessarily be the proper thing to do just because of the training of the animal, if that makes sense. I thank you all for your time. It was so important for me to be here, and thank you all for giving some time and attention to this issue. And can I answer any questions for any of you?
Thank you, Ms. McAllister. Man, I would like to have Eddie in TRW sometime. Sounds like maybe that could be an interim opportunity. Ms. McAllister, I have a quick question. Are you related to the gentleman who sent us some mail about this?
I'm the person who sent the mail.
Oh, you're the person that
That's
sent the
me.
mail.
I'm the one who's been annoying everyone for quite a
Well,
while.
I received about midsummer some pretty great mail
That was me.
about this exact subject, and it got me talking to the good co-chairman. So I know as a legislator, I really appreciate when people reach out like that. So thank you.
As an individual, I appreciate being able to reach out to my legislature and having a grandson who hunts and is interested in politics, being able to prove to him that we can reach out and we can communicate and we can do that. We can do that because this is Wyoming and we are that special. So thank you all so
Just a
much
special
for
piece of mail
everything
to
you
get from
do.
him. That's awesome. Committee, any questions of Ms. McAllister? Thank you so much for being here today. Seeing none, we're going to go more public comment on this bill. Any more public comment in the room? We don't have any online today, which is awesome. So with that, I'm going to close public comment. And committee, what is your pleasure? Moved by everyone. I'm going to give credit to Representative Harshman and seconded by Representative Campbell. Committee, let's go ahead and work this good little white Senate file 27. Page 1, any amendments? Page 2, any amendments? Question being called. Any discussion on the bill? Feeling good. This is efficiency. If we aren't efficient, Worf might try to kill something. So we're going to get going here. With that, we'll call roll call on Senate file 27. Please.
Mr. Chairman, this is a roll call vote for Senate File 27. Representative Campbell.
Aye.
Representative Connolly.
Aye.
Representative Harshman. Representative Jarvis.
Aye.
Representative Provenza.
Aye.
Representative Storer. Representative Thayer.
She left an aye vote, and I will get that turned in at the end of the meeting.
Representative Worf,
Aye.
Chairman Byron.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, you have 9 ayes.
Perfect. Let me put some thought into that since a number of us are on the bill, and we'll figure out how to bring this on the floor. Thank you so much. With that, thank you, Chairman. Appreciate it. Uh-oh.
Keep up the good work. Thank you all.
With that, we are going to go to Senate File 124 Committee, and we're going to invite Senator Driscoll up to House TRW. And we're going to keep the good chairman to yap a little more. Welcome, Senator Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee. Really appreciate the opportunity. I also brought along our Senate side of the TRW committee that's probably as big a supporter as I am or more of this. I bring you Senate File 124, which I think all of you know about it. This has been a pretty highly run around bill. I'm just going to give you a small set of facts. I'm not going to work through the bill. What I am going to tell you, there was one amendment on it. That amendment was done working on our other side on the House as well to make sure this bill was totally constitutional. There were some real questions about how the money went and where it went to places. We did the amendment to make sure it was vetted through the AG's office downstairs and both sides, because we didn't want to end up in a quagmire in a lawsuit on this thing. So that really cleaned that up. And really what this project is, and it's got much bigger than it was. So the background on it, and I'm doing this mainly for everybody so you understand it when it comes to the floor. PRCA did not come to Wyoming. Wyoming went to the PRCA. So the local economic development group here in Cheyenne came up with it with a group of people. They went down and pitched it to the PRCA, which told them they had no interest in moving. And they said, we think it'd be wise for you to move, and here's what we're proposing. And they took it to their board, and the board said, yeah, if that's what you potentially can do for us, we're looking at it. And so it's fleshed out, and it's now gone from being a little 35-acre deal, moving about 100 jobs out of Colorado to Wyoming, 100 permanent jobs that are moving up here, to a 800-acre project that's now the hitching post deal, and it's probably going to be 140 or 50 jobs. There are actually $15 million private money committed out of Cheyenne here, matched with $15 million out of the tourism accounts. And folks, once again, I hear lots about taxpayer money and why are we doing this when we're not funding something else? And these tourism accounts were developed exactly for this. They were developed to bring more tourism and bring more tourism dollars to the state of Wyoming. That's what this is. They're dollars generated by tourism that actually are being spent to bring more. Looks like the pay it back is less than 10 years on it. The $15 million in less than a decade is going to be generating over $1 million a year of revenue that goes back to run our towns and our schools. Goes from ag valuation to $300,000 a year tax base down there. $800,000 a year in sales tax revenue is kind of what they're projecting. And on top of it, we get all the multipliers off those jobs that come in. So this is probably economic development wise, it's the best project I've ever seen. And you can hold it in both hands and look at it because it's black and white. We've got these pushes going on between our bodies on policy. And this is one that you're guaranteed. We can pass the bill, take the chance. It's no guarantee they come still. The board's still got to vote on it. But should they come, we're going to get pretty close to 100 jobs, or we can say no to them and it's a 100% guarantee those 100 jobs just evaporated and went away. I've butted back and forth about grants on it. It's not going to happen if it's a loan. It's got to be a grant, and it'll pay us back in a pretty rapid time. So that's kind of where we're at. It's bringing the PRCA, the Hall of Fame, along with it. A lot of the cost of it's actually to move it. You know, when you start moving a museum and bronzes and big pieces, it's expensive. And then they're going to build a brand new building. Now have a new headquarters and a new Hall of Fame right here in Cheyenne. It lays just a little bit to the south of the intersection I-80 and 25, right almost by where the old travel center for the state of Wyoming was, right behind there. I can tell you, I live at what all you think is probably one of the tourism spots of Wyoming, Devil's Tower. We get 500,000 people a year at Devil's Tower. if I'm not missing my mark, I believe there's about 5.5 million between I-80 and I-25 go through here. This has got the potential to move Cheyenne from government town to having another leg to it, which is tourism base along with the other end of it. And I'm proud to bring it. I know I kind of did it on a little different way of presenting the bill, but I think everybody knows most of the details. I wanted to make sure the facts were out there. And I'd let my colleague speak or stand for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Driscoll. Please, Chairman Landon.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I was glad to stick around for this one. I just want to salute the senator. His passion is in question. I'm not sure if he's passionate enough on this, but I was lucky enough to sit in with him, with the director of the PRCA down at the National Finals Rodeo, and had a good conversation. And boy, did it take off from there. I just think the senator's onto something. I think that Cheyenne Leads is onto something. I hope the state can play its part. An awful lot of private donations and money have come into this. It's been matched by this community. And now the very purpose of our tourism funds can be utilized, to help them out. And so I'm very much in support of this. I think it's exactly what we had in mind. And boy, did it come knocking at our front door. So thank you, Mr.
Appreciate
Chairman.
that, Chairman. Quickly, committee, any questions? I'll get there. Yep, I know Representative Provenza has one. Why don't we start with you if you're ready, Representative Provenza?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the concerns about the constitutionality, when you worked with LSO, I imagine that they highlighted the special legislation concerns, right? That it's going to a private entity, and are we good through your conversations with the Attorney General and LSO with a rodeo and cowboy museum and Hall of Fame project? Is that going to be broad enough that we're not going to run into any problems?
Senator Driscoll, please.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Provenza, I think we are. I'm not a lawyer, so we went to lawyers to try to figure it out. And this is the language they came with. This wasn't written by me. This came hammering out. And actually, it was one of your good House members that kind of drove it, not myself. I'll be honest with you. One of the Propes members off the House that's a little sharper than I am on those issues actually took it up and drove it. Did a good job on it. I brought the amendment was all. But I'm comfortable with it. We hear this issue pretty nonstop on our side, and I'm sure you do too. And we do this on a lot of different areas. We do it on reservoirs. We do it on different businesses that we've done through the Business Council. There's a pretty good process put in place on these grants, the way they do them. We've done it a lot, and I feel comfortable that it will hold.
Yeah, please, Representative Provenza.
Thank you. I just want to clarify. So did you have conversation with the AG's office on this language? I'm looking to hear what those attorneys said directly to you about this language.
I did not. I think she did, and I know she worked with them on it. The language they gave is not the same. So the original bill, that warning that went out, was when we directly were just granting money directly out of the tourism accounts. That is not the way it goes now. The money goes in the tourism accounts, and there's approval process in that bill, the way it runs through. And it to the best of my knowledge, and I'm sure it's going to get vetted heavily. The other part is all of these bills go through the AG's office where the governor signs them. And if he's got a problem with it, probably goes away. But it's also in the budget, and I have not heard any complaints from legal staff coming to us on any of this.
Thank you, Senator Driscoll. And thank you, Representative Provenza. She highlighted that when we got down to the meeting, and I really appreciate the deep dive there, and I'm sure there'll be a bit more. So with that, committee, any other questions of either Representative Storr, please go. Yep, there you go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Senator Driscoll, for being here. Help me understand a little bit first, maybe just walk through what are the next steps that you envision happening should this bill pass?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Storr, my belief is the next steps would be once either the bill signed or it goes through the budget, because I'm going to be upfront with you, it's in both places. If it goes through one or the other, they would go directly to the PRCA Board of Directors. They'll beat her down to Colorado Springs. Board of Directors will have a meeting that's very similar to what you folks are doing with me, and they're going to decide if they choose to accept or not to accept it. Should they choose to accept it, then I believe there will be a whole series of transaction goes on. They're going to exercise an option on land out here. They'll start looking at doing some infrastructure. They're actually, as far as I know, and that Leeds could do better than this on me, but they're looking at putting roads in, and they're actually looking at 2029 would be when the move actually happens. By the time they move buildings, build buildings, move all of it, 2029 would be when it comes in. It's a phased move. They'll build it in pieces and start moving people up. But the process would start almost immediately. $3 million of this is effective immediately. That $3 million goes to getting the planning done, the design work on the stuff. And it's gonna be hard for them because it's not just like they come in and do it. This is tourism. So tourism's gonna review every step that they do is gonna be reviewed by the tourism department. So it's not you hand a check over for $15 million and say, go spend money. It's really bird dogged all the way through the process.
Thank you, Representative Store. Follow up,
Yes, please.
please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm curious, what is the current balance of the Wyoming Tourism Reserve and Projects account? Do you know?
Boy, I had it. Let's see if, I don't think I brought it. Yes, that makes. I will get that for you. I do not have it with me, and I should have. That's my apologies, because I knew that question would come up. I can tell you tourism is comfortable that they have the cash flow to support this project within, including all their bike trails and the shooting ranges and everything else they're funding. They've kind of turned into the funder of all things fun for Wyoming.
I would hope so, but I don't think we're quite there yet. Another follow-up, Mr. Chairman?
Please.
I'm curious why on page 2, line 8, it has the date June 30th, 2036 related to the appropriation. Why does the appropriation, right now, the way I'm reading the bill, there is a $15 million appropriation and that's it. But then it talks about going to June 30th, 2036 in 2 places.
I don't see that. Okay, I do see it.
And the line 8.
Oh, it's the unexpended, unobligated, because if there's money left over, it's going to take time to get it back. And
So just to hold on to it.
to hold on to it. The actual spending of it, is 10 million comes in 2027, 3 million, 2 million on 26, 10 million on 2027. As we go through it, but basically their intent, I believe, is it'll be 29, 30, 31 probably when they get all their stuff. And I'm not privy to all that. I'm gonna be really honest with you. I helped it from the day it started, but I was not part of any of the committees that did anything other than looking at sites with them. And I've not been privy to what Leeds does. The information I gave you about the 800-acre project came from what they brought and listening to a radio interview. So I'm telling you, it's a little secondhand on some of the Hitchin Post District stuff. I listened to the director of Leeds doing it. It excited me because instead of being just a PRCA deal, it's now an entire tourism district down there. And they also are going to protect the integrity of the area. That keeps that area right up against it. This is kind of back behind McDonald's and part of the granite stuff. It'll preserve that all stays in a Western looking setting down there. Part of it's going to be pasture that they run cattle in and Western themed stores, whatnot. I think it's pretty exciting for Cheyenne myself.
Thank you, Senator. Committee, Representative Worf, please.
Yeah, Senator, it's good to see you here. I guess, Mr. Chairman, the question I'd like to ask is there any concern that the state to the south of us might try to do a counter offer to stop them from leaving and coming up here?
Well, Mr. Chairman, Representative Worf, you're a little late on that one. The fact of the matter is the offers have been made. They're laying on the desk. Cheyenne Leeds was incredibly smart in this. There's an option till June 15th. And so they're going to see those other offers, folks, that are there. But till June 15th, they obligated themselves to deal only with Wyoming. And hence, that's why I brought a bill. I was worried if something happened with the budget, is it was absolutely critical to me. This is yeah, you've all got a letter from Senator Lummis as well. This is a keystone project for the state of Wyoming. They talked about my passion about it. I am a cowboy. This is the cowboy state. We drive with rodeo plates, and this is the epitome of rodeo. And I can assure you, if they had an honest chance at it, Texas would steal it in a heartbeat. There's got to be a billionaire down there that'll beat us up. And I'm proud to help try to get them guys and say, look, you gave us a handshake deal. Come on up.
Thank you, Representative Worf. Representative Storr, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Senator Driscoll. Can you tell me where we expect the matching funds to come from?
The
The matching funds that
I can, yeah.
paid for.
So I probably should have run you through it. 15 million of private money from Leeds. City of Cheyenne is in a meeting, I believe, tonight to commit additional dollars to it. They've got corporate sponsors and handshake agreements at about $10 million on it. They're running a 6-penny ballot initiative in Laramie County. If it succeeds, it'll be 5 million more. Then they're working on grants as well. And then 15 million out of the special projects and reserve accounts on tourism. Works out to 59 million without the hitching post district. That's just 59 million. And that also does not count the money that the PRCA spends on their own, which, they're going to sell their premises down there. And I can pretty much assure you that that money's going to get invested back into Wyoming somewhere.
Thank you.
But
After you-
59 million is kind of the base right now.
Great. Thank you. Committee, keeping working my way to my left. Representative Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you both for being here. Question on page 4 at the top, line 1. So we talk about the Wyoming Tourism Board will determine and certify these expectations, right? In terms of additional jobs and increasing our GDP as far as the state revenue. So my question is, because we've heard a lot of discussion recently about state funds being invested and not getting the return on investment, and it didn't do the things we said. So what happens if it doesn't? In terms of holding the Wyoming Tourism Board accountable to determining and certifying these expectations, what happens if we don't?
Chairman Byron,
Senator.
Representative Campbell, that end of it, it's a little like advertising dollars. You can't guarantee anything, but I think we've really been through the hoops as one of your good representatives on the Appropriations Committee had UW do a study on it. So we've actually, and I can get that for you. There's a multiple page study of the expected impacts. Part of it we know is going to happen. It gets pretty big is assuming they come, I believe the initial construction is 251 direct jobs. So we know that there's going to be 250 people down here building roads, building buildings, and we all know what 250 jobs looks like when they're staying in hotels and burning gas and going out. So, my belief is a huge part of this is going to be successful off day one. The other part is having been to the PRCA Hall of Fame, and you've got to want to go there. I'm a cowboy. I mean, first time I went was to go to a good friend induction to it. That was actually kind of the impetus on this move was I went down there and I'm like, oh my God, it's in the middle of Colorado Springs. And I've been driving by it on the interstate and it's a pain to get there. And having it up here, I can assure you, like I said, I live by tourist stuff. If it's advertised correctly and it's got a big bronze or something on the highway, kind of like they do at CFD Park, I have every faith in the world. I'll put my good faith on it that it works. I wouldn't say that about a lot of other projects, but this is one I have every faith in the world. It's something that we're all going to be proud of. Unless you hate cowboys.
Thank you, Senator Driscoll. Committee, any other questions? I think we've given them a good run. Committee, any other questions? Senator Driscoll, I have a quick one for you. We have a small little fairgrounds up in northwest Wyoming. It's about 12 acres. Any consideration of bringing it up there? We need some more tourists up there.
So
I think my colleague down the way might not agree, but it's been a pretty controversial parcel, but it's a great spot for rodeo.
I fully agree with you. It's, I tell them to get the committee together and figure out what they can draw. There's some other events out there that are big. I can tell you, I've worked on some of them. This is a point of pride with me. And my daughter asked me the very same thing is, Dad, you live up in Northeast Wyoming. Why not Gillette? I said, because Gillette never went and recruited them. And that's really the truth is these guys hustle down here. And I think for all of us around the state, it's a lesson to be learned. If you get something, get a sparkle in your eye and go after it. Because it's tourism is number 2 part of the economy in the state of Wyoming. My voice cracked on the Senate floor because I'm a rancher and ag was number 2 my entire life. Ag's number 3 now, folks. And that's incredibly hard to believe that tourism's bigger than ag in Wyoming. I'm part of both industries. I'm proud of both of them, but it really is interesting to see the dynamics that we change. And I wander off a little bit on that is, when I went to legislature and look at Representative Harston Long, the state was funded 70% by the minerals industry, 70%. We're down to under 50 now, 20% in less than 20 years. This is diversification. Everyone talks about us diversifying our economy. This is one piece of it. Hopefully some more businesses come in, our firearm stuff. To me, this is really why I'm passionate about it is if my kids want to stay here, one, they need jobs. And second, they need not to be taxed to death. And we do taxes by having other people pay them for us. That's why I look at it as my industry's been blessed to have mineral industry pay their taxes. I hope Rodeo Hall of Fames and data centers pay a good part of my taxes for my kids.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Senator. The question was,
Did I get off track?
we just don't have 2 interstates. We have 3 2-lane roads coming into our neck of the woods. So, it's great to hear there's other events we might be able to go pursue. With that, we'll keep, Representative Provenza, please.
Mr. Chairman, I was just going to recommend maybe you could do an otter museum up in your neck of the woods.
Hearing no other questions, we are going to go to any other
Otter
representatives,
Park.
any other representatives in the room.
Mr. Chairman, I've got one more question.
More questions, folks. Yep, let's
Hold
a
on.
couple more before you get off the hook.
Uh-oh.
Representative Storer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just curious, and I think I see that someone's texted me that the amounts in the account, but the language on page 3, lines 12 through 14 that say that these funds would be made available prior to any required transfers from that account to the Wyoming Outdoor Recreation and Tourism Trust Fund account, which we have a specific amount that's supposed to go into that every year. So I'm just curious why we have that language and why it's necessary.
Senator.
Chairman Byron, Representative Storer, that is in case the funds don't come in at the amount it's basically sets priority and they would trump out some of those other funds that come. It's just like a diversion from the trust fund. The truth is tourism from day one has outperformed. That's why we've got this money. We wouldn't even be talking about bike trails, shooting sports complex and rodeo if it wasn't for tourism. When we passed that, it was set up to fund them at about $20 million a year, and it's outperformed from day one and just continued to. Well, my pitch on tourism, for every dollar we spend, and I'll make a move at some point to move money from below the line above it. Every dollar that our tourism department spends, we get $10 back in revenue on tourism. And that's as better results than the state treasurer gets, and that would make him upset, but it's a true story.
Thank you, Senator. Representative Worf, do you have one or you're good? All right.
Just a final comment.
A final one, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to note that most of those funds comes from lodging tax, and much of that comes from the northwest part of the state. So it's a beautiful thing. You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to end in. So, yeah, over 50% comes out of your county. I'm very aware of that. We're very thankful about it. I actually do some talks up in your county to some of the people, and I've told them, I said, you folks are our new coal mines, and you don't know it yet. I hear some of the same complaints I heard out of Campbell County in the early days as we fund the entire state, and you ought to be thankful. And I'm going to tell you, I am thankful. Maybe you want to save your rodeo grounds up there, huh?
Thank you, Senator. And just for the record, it's our county. Our county. We share it. With that, please stay close. We're going to go ahead and get any other representatives or senators in the room that want to comment. State agencies. Yeah, please come on up, introduce yourself for House TRW. And it is about 12:55 and we will need a little time to work this bill and let these good folks up here have some rest before we keep battling. So with that, welcome and please introduce yourself.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Seth Alvestad. I'm a policy advisor in Governor Gordon's office. Governor sends his best regards and appreciates your work on this project. The governor submitted budget letter number 5 to the Joint Appropriations Committee last month, supporting this initiative. And in that letter, he stated that he understood the legislature may be considering sponsoring a bill to accomplish the same appropriation. And if it met the single purpose provisions of Wyoming's Constitution, he'd proudly sign it into law pending review. He believes there's no better home for the PRCA than right here in Wyoming. This project will be an incredible investment in the future of tourism in our state. And he believes that the $15 million appropriation of the tourism funds and the timeline outlined is appropriate for the Wyoming Tourism Reserve and Projects account. I don't want to talk too much more than Senator Driscoll did on the great partnerships that are involved in this project. I think he did a great job of outlining that. And so with that, I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to talk today. The governor supports this bill and I stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Olvestad. Thank you for being here at House TRW Committee. Any questions? Seeing none, really appreciate it. Any other state agent? Oh, Representative Storr, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Obersat. I'm just curious how the tourism board will go about the determination on the top of page 4, if you can answer that.
Please.
Or is that already something that's been done to recognize the economic value?
And certainly if you don't want to be in the hot seat, you don't have to answer that question if we want to try to punt it to somebody else.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Storr, I'll need to phone a friend on that.
Okay. All right. Just to follow up,
Please.
Also the question on how the governor will determine the substantial benefit to the public. Kind of it's the same question, but that's on the top of page 5 and language that I think was inserted in the engrossed bill. So just wanting to know what those processes look like. Thank you.
Well, I
Please.
think there'll be, Mr. Chairman, Representative Storr, I think we'll see that as this project comes forward, all the tourism dollars it brings into the community. So the benefit will be ultimately the tax dollars brought into the state by the implementation of this project and the move of the PRCA here to Wyoming.
Representative
Mr.
Storr.
Chairman, the way I read this is those determinations need to be done before the project actually gets off the ground. So I'm just curious how that's going to happen.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Storr, the governor will work with the bringers of this bill and the partners within this project to ensure that. I don't have a direct answer for you right now.
Thank you. And Representative Storr, I'd be happy to work on that with you between now and when we potentially get up to the floor and maybe answer some of those questions. I think they're valid. So committee, any other questions? Any other questions? Thank you. With that, we're going to go to public comment is open. Anyone in the room, please, come fill the chairs and introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from and welcome to House TRW.
Hello, Mr. Chairman, committee. My name's Andrew Joannidis, born and raised in Cheyenne, longtime resident. I'm one of the young people that left the great state of Wyoming and came back. I left for 12 years and came back because I love this place. Cheyenne raised me. Now I'm back and I'm raising a boy of my own. I love rodeo. I worked in college athletics for a long time, about 10 of those 12 years. So I understand the impact of tourism and out-of-state and in-state people coming to a community for a sport or an attraction. I follow rodeo heavily. I'm a proud member of the rodeo committee of this great the world-class rodeo here in this community. So I understand the ingress and egress of our contestants through our wonderful I-25 and I-80 routes. That is the rodeo trail for our men and women who compete across this great country. between the West Coast, the Midwest, from Montana down to Texas. I was also a resident in the Lone Star State for about 2 years before I moved home, where I got to understand the culture of rodeo and the cowboy life down there as well. And I know for certain that would be a proud home of this wonderful organization, PRCA. As you have spent your time here, I'm sure you see banks, coffee shops, as much as I love coffee, and other energy industries filling up this Laramie County. Outside of Cheyenne Frontier Days and the things that organization that brings in tourists to this community, we're running out of options here in this county. Outside of the Great State Park that is on the western edge of this county, we're running out of things for people to come and see outside of our summer months. I see a ton of traffic coming in from DIA, coming up north, and I really think of Laramie County as a beacon to the rest of the state, to the other 23 counties, and at least to the wonderful national or state parks and national parks in the northern half of the state. People coming from the west, east, and west as well. I would be a proud supporter of this. I highly recommend you please look into this as an approval for this county. And being a sense of pride for a business that I think this community and state would be proud of to host those individuals that would work for the PRCA in this community. I think it's a beautiful tax base and a wonderful set of humans that would join our community and provide for this community. I also think that the rodeo community all across this country would be proud. We have men and women, I believe, that are both members of this Hall of Fame. And I think that would be a great honor to a state that prides itself in having the state sport as rodeo. Mr. Chairman, I hold for any questions.
Thank you.
And forgive me, I'm sorry, this is my first time testifying. so-
Well, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I'm not going to get your last name right. And since my first name is
That's
also
okay.
Andrew, we can just go Andrew to Andrew.
Yes, sir.
Committee, any questions of the good gentleman, Andrew? Any questions? Thank you for your
And
testimony.
if I can add
Yeah,
just real
please.
quick as well, the hitching post, that is, I know it's not on the original hitching post site, but the honor for the hitching post and the Smith family is incredible. My middle brother was a brief owner of the hitching post in between from Mr. Paul Smith. And that would be an awesome honor, I think, for him and our family as well. So
Thank you. Mr. Vice Chair, did you ever spend any time at the hitching post?
4 years.
Just
4 years till come down.
just asking. All right. Committee, Representative Store, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Joannidis. I also knew his dad. So I was just curious to understand kind of what the thinking is about the hitching post property and how does that tie in to all this?
Please.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Store. I don't know all the intricacies. I haven't been involved with everything, but from what I understand, it would be a new site for attractants to this county and community. I think it would be an awesome location. As I drive by north and south on I-25, I see people outside taking pictures with Mr. Chris Ledoux, a bronze. Those 3 bronzes there outside of the stadium along I-25 are an awesome stopping point for people traveling north and south. I also know that our Old West Museum here in this community has foot traffic all the time. I don't know the numbers. But I also, when I drive by and through that park, I see people taking pictures in front of Lane Frost. I know that those bronzes are a sense of pride of our Western culture and the rodeo culture. So I would assume that this would be an awesome spot for people to come visit, whatever they have plans for businesses and other things that would represent the Western way of life and the Wyoming way of life, really. I think would be neat. I lived about an hour and 10 minutes from the stockyards outside of Fort Worth. I lived in Stephenville, Texas, which they claim is the rodeo capital of the United States. And the tourism in Fort Worth and in the stockyards, I think is something that could be brought here to Wyoming. And just an area where people see that, where they're pushing cattle through the streets or just cowboy bars, restaurants, things that celebrate the Western way of life would be an awesome beacon for this state.
Thank you. Committee, any questions? Thank you so much for your testimony. We really, really appreciate it. Anyone else? Any other public comment? Mr. Magagna, welcome back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Happy to be back and have this opportunity to visit with you. As I think back, it was the founders of our organization in 1872 who brought cattle to Wyoming. And that evolved over time. They brought cattle, they brought cowboys. That led to the importance of rodeo in Wyoming. And so we have a foundational interest in rodeo and what it means to this state and our cowboy image as a state. And we believe that bringing the PRCA to Cheyenne is just a critical next step in continuing to build that image, continue to keep the culture that we have in Wyoming. Not that there isn't a lot more to it, but cowboys and rodeo are the fundamental part of that culture. And this is an opportunity that it would be a shame if Cheyenne and the state of Wyoming didn't take advantage of. We see it not only in terms of certainly bringing tourism and people to Wyoming, but making this a more attractive place for our own industry people to gather on a broader level to come and do the business that we do. So with that, Mr. Chairman, we just offer our full support to this and be happy to entertain any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Magagna. Committee, any questions of Mr. Magagna? Familiar face, TRW? Thank you so much for your testimony. That's a lot of very valid points. I really appreciate it. Anyone else for public comment? If you're on the edge or on the fence, you might say in this situation, please come sit in the black chairs and let's get going here. We're going to work this bill, and then we have a couple other presentations here. So with that, welcome. Introduce yourself to House TRW.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Catherine Wilkinson. I am here on behalf of Cheyenne Lean, specifically for Project Blue Moon, and just wanted to clarify a few questions that had been asked here this afternoon. So Cheyenne Leads did go out and seek out the PRCA. So I just wanted to shed some light that we do see this as the anchor for what will be future development and catalyst of another tourism attraction that will be called the Hitching Post District. It will be a 400-acre piece of land with PRCA if this comes together as the anchor. So that is in the future development after this piece. So I just did want to clarify that. Also, there have been 2 studies that have been done, economic studies by Cheyenne Leads, paid for by Cheyenne Leads, one from a private economic study, another one from the University of Wyoming. I'm happy to share some of the summaries with that, but just wanted to let you know that a lot of the due diligence has been performed, and I do have that background information, so I'm happy to visit with you online with that. And Mr. Chairman, I believe I touched the majority of the questions that the committee had, but I would certainly stand for any more that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilkinson. Committee, any questions? Any questions? Thanks for those insights. And yeah, and Ms. Wilkinson will certainly be an opportunity to get us some of those studies if we so choose. I'll let you know outside the hallway if we need to get a look at those good studies and the good university that is always supporting our work over here. Really appreciate that.
Mr. Chairman.
Representative Storr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Catherine, Ms. Wilkinson, could you just go over those numbers again that Senator Driscoll provided in terms of where we're looking at? So the 15 million from the state, 15 million from Leads, and what are the sources for those? I was curious. I think he said it was private.
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman. Okay, so Cheyenne Leads, PRCA, first of all, PRCA will spend several million of their own money to come to the state. In this bill, it does require a matching amount, and that amount has already been secured and voted by on a board of directors of Cheyenne Leads for $15 million matching. On top of that, we have about $10 million already in handshakes for corporate sponsorship. We're going to be running a 6-penny ballot initiative in August that we're hoping will bring in $4 to $5 million if that is successful. On top of that, Cheyenne Leads is also going to be running a Progress and Prosperity campaign. Total $5 million, $1 million to go to the larger Hitching Post project, and $4 million of that to go to Project Blue Moon, once in a blue moon opportunity, this opportunity with the PRCA. And then additionally, on top of that, we have been working very closely with the congressional offices of Hagman, Lummis, and Barrasso to see if there is any other federal grants. So there's a lot of excitement, a lot of interest. We've tried to do, as much public partnership on this to raise the funds that are needed to make this to happen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative Storr, for the question. All right. Thank you, Ms. Wilkinson, for being here today. I appreciate you. Please introduce yourself to House TRW. Not a familiar face down here always, but great to see you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Travis McNevin here just on behalf of myself today. I don't need an economic study per se to know how much lighter my pocketbook is from a travel perspective when I go somewhere with horses or it's horse related. You don't do anything like that without a fairly large expense in terms of all the necessities that horses and the horse industry, the rodeo industry, the equine industry take and bringing people and fans of the sport to Wyoming and solidifying that as a you know, as the Cowboy state, to me is just an excellent thing to do, and I'm sure will return dividends from the amount of time I spend out of state helping someone else's tourism budgets, would the favor being returned and seeing more of that here in the state. And so with that, Mr. Chairman, I just say that from a personal point of view, with somebody who travels a lot with horses and in that space, that there's significant expenditures made around these endeavors.
Thank you, Mr. McNiven. Representative Provenza.
Thank you. Do they allow horses into the museum?
Please, Mr. McNiven.
Well, I will certainly defer to whether there will be any live horses in the museum, but I know boarding facilities in the area will probably need to be expanded over time with such a destination, our representative.
Thank
Chairman.
you. Thank you, Representative Provenza, for the thoughtful question. Committee, any other questions? Seeing none, thank you for being here. Really appreciate that voice of support. Any other comments in the room? Seeing no one jumping up, we're going to go ahead and close public comment. Committee, what is your pleasure on Senate File 124? We have moved it by Representative Campbell, and do we have a second?
Here.
Representative Provenza. Great. Okay. Committee, starting on page 1, let's work the bill. Any suggested amendments, any discussion points? Page 1, page 2. I know a lot of our pens were going fast on this, so there's Representative Harshman's looks like an art project. Mine has a lot of scribble. Anything on page 2, page 3, committee? Any amendments, suggested amendments? Are we comfortable? Page 4. I don't want to rush you, but page 5. Okay. Good down there. Good. Yep. Good down here. Oh, I thought Representative Storr was going to comment, but she is yawning. All right. Okay. I see no amendments from House TRW. Question being called. Any discussion, or we want to go right into the vote? Let's go to the vote. A roll call vote on Senate File 124.
Mr. Chairman, this is a roll call vote for Senate File 124 engrossed. Representative Campbell.
Aye.
Representative Connolly. Representative Harshman. Representative Jarvis.
Aye.
Representative Provenza.
Yeehaw. Aye.
Representative Storr.
That's not a horse. Continue, please. That was a, I don't know what, that was a sheep. Representative Storr, can you clear up your vote, please? Okay, thank you.
Representative Thayer.
Representative Thayer left an aye vote.
Representative Wharf.
Aye.
Chairman Byron.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, you have 9 ayes.
Thank you. And committee, there's a number of us on this bill. I think we could all get together and carry it on the floor. I'll get with everyone outside. And committee, don't rush out. We have a quick, maybe quick presentation from 2 different entities. Jeremiah, if you're ready, you want to go first? Jeremiah is going to give us an update, and then we're going to go to Mr. Budd to give us even though the WWNRT large project bill is already through Cal this morning, I believe. It's cruising. These TRW, just for everyone's information, is the home committee to the kind of for these 2 different organizations. So we're going to go ahead and give them a chance to just give us an update. And with that, I will let the committee know that I got to sneak out in about 10 minutes, but I will listen as long as I can. And welcome, Jeremiah. Thanks for coming.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Jeremiah Riemann. I come to you this afternoon as the chairman of the Outdoor Recreation and Tourism Trust Fund. Excited to share just a little bit of information with you about, one, who we are, where we've been, and where we're going. At the table, I'm joined by two incredible gentlemen. To my left is the secretary of the board. I suspect he'll provide a couple of comments, Mr. Mark DeSoro. And to my right, one of our Fremont County commissioners in his day job and in my day job, but he also sits on the Outdoor Rec Trust Fund Board, and that's Mr. Mike Jones. So, Mr. Chairman, as you and a few others were there, the trust was established during the 23 and 24 legislative sessions. The first year you established the account and the funding source, which was talked about just briefly, and then came back the next year and set the framework for the work that we've been doing. Your trust is overseen by a really talented and dedicated 9-member board representing each of the judicial districts across the state of Wyoming. I'm happy to mention those if you'd like, but a great group of individuals who have been very, very hard at work. We're supported by an equally dedicated and talented team from the Department of State Parks and Cultural Resources. I've already mentioned Mark, Chris Floyd, the deputy director over there, Director Glenn, and Bryn Hirschman, who has been supporting us with all the technical elements of this work, and just a marvelous young individual. Our mission, of course, is to promote, preserve, and enhance Wyoming's outdoor recreation and tourism infrastructure for current and future generations of visitors and residents. A little bit about where we've been. So far, we have hosted 5 meetings across the state. We were appointed and received our Senate confirmation last legislative session. Within just a couple of weeks, we hosted our first meeting, which took place in Lander. We've now had meetings in Newcastle, Casper, Cheyenne, and on the Wind River Indian Reservation, which was our most recent meeting, which happened the Thursday before the legislative session started. We had, from the get-go, 2 working groups to complete our work. One of those was focused entirely on the rules of the program. The legislation in 24 dictated that we were to institute rules. We had another group that was working on the guidelines and application for the program. That entire package was completed at our meeting on the reservation just before the session. In terms of the rules, there are both competitive and non-competitive grants available. In terms of the non-competitive, we kept a really low threshold amount that we would make available, primarily, I think, for those Boy Scout or Girl Scout projects that might come forward, and that we would have discretion throughout the year to award those. The larger dollar grants would be through a formal application, and I'll get to that here in just a second, including the large projects, which you're very used to with the with the Wildlife and Natural Resource Trust. We took very seriously our responsibility relative to the socioeconomic, cultural, and natural and wildlife conservation elements that we worked on throughout the development of the trust, and made sure that those were embedded into our ethos moving forward, and ensure that we promote sustainable outdoor recreation infrastructure development across the state. We've had very active engagement from all of the parties, both at our meetings and in other engagement. And I'm very proud to say that we received letters of support for where we landed on the rules and regulations from those parties, and I'm excited as we move forward. In terms of the guidelines and application, we've established our 2026 funding timeline as well as consideration of large projects. So next week, we will release the first application for the trust. That will be open, I believe, for a 40 or 45-day period to accept applications in. The board will then consider those applications at its April meeting, and I'll talk about our other elements moving forward. We've established defined priority infrastructure projects. I'll just try and, let me get my notes here, mention what a few of those priorities are. Those will fall into categories such as adaptive outdoor recreation of all types, camping, fishing, nature enjoyment, off-road motorized activities, rock climbing and mountain activities, shooting activities, snow activities, trail activities, water activities. And then, of course, there are broader umbrellas under each of those, but those will be our priority infrastructure types for the time being. We've also established suggested matches, allowing for a waiver based on a demonstration of need. So every county has a different established suggested match. Some counties will have a suggested match of 50-50, and that will go down to, I think our lowest is a 20 or 25% suggested match, which also includes the reservation would fall into that category. But again, if a party in one of those, any one of those areas can demonstrate need, we can waive those suggested matches. As part of our work, we've also undertaken a number of learning sessions. We have engaged both the state of Colorado and the state of Utah in understanding how they've gone about their work. I will tell you, we are likely to have around $2 million to do our work over the course of this biennium. We learned through our process that the state of Utah has about $45 million going into their program every year. So we've got a lot to aspire towards, and we're hopeful to have your support in that. As part of our learning process, we've also engaged the tribes, and very excited to have had Leslie Shakespeare from the Wind River Development Fund provide some context about the exciting work that they're doing on the reservation, and I think there's a place for us to support their efforts. We've also engaged, of course, the Wildlife and Natural Resource Trust. Bob Budd and his team have been incredible resource to us, and including their members. Their members have made touch and outreach to each of our board members to understand how they go about their work, and we're incredibly indebted to that. Of course, the Office of Tourism has been a supporter, and countless other stakeholders. Of course, we're doing other little things like a logo, website, and those bits, and those will all be up here very shortly if they're not already. A little bit about where we're going. We have approximately $13 million in the fund as it stands right now. Of course, you established a goal of $200 million, very similar to the the Wildlife and Natural Resource Trust, and we're looking forward to one day achieving that. As I mentioned, we'll have about $2 million for grants this biennium, and we'll have to make some tough decisions as we go about this. Again, the application is opening next week. Board meetings April 28th and 29th in Saratoga in conjunction with the outdoor rec conference that will happen there. We will evaluate the applications that we receive and plan our site visits, and we'll be happy to make sure that you're aware of what those are. We will also have a board meeting July 8th and 9th in Evanston. That's when we will review our site visits and approve the first of our applications and begin making awards. We'll present, of course, at the Select Natural Resource Funding Committee in August. perhaps we'll be bringing forward a large project. We'll see what comes forward, and then we'll close out our year October 7th in Cody and December 4th in Gillette. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to answer any questions or certainly defer to my colleagues to provide you any other updates.
Thank you. I would just say, and please confirm this, Jeremiah, these meetings have been available to be viewed on Zoom, and I had the opportunity to drop in on a few of them. Is that the plan moving forward?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we've been happy to provide remote access into all of the meetings, and we will continue to do that. And I've tried to operate these in the most open manner that we possibly can to get input.
Really
all
appreciate
parties.
that, and appreciate the slight nudges when we're trying to, when your meetings are coming up. It's been great to drop in and listen to some of them. Committee questions, Vice Chair Harshman.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Just remind us again the trust amount, and we passed a bill. I think we're going to try to move 6 million a year in there from the tourism dollars, the tourism. So where are you at now? And and then I'll ask some follow-ups.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, you're Representative Harshman, you're absolutely correct. $6 million per biennium will tip into the Outdoor Rec Tourism Trust. If memory serves me correct, about 2 million of that can be used towards awards. That goes into that category. The other 4 million goes into the permanent fund. And then, of course, we can utilize the proceeds off of that.
Mr. Chairman, how much in the trust right now again?
Yeah, maybe Mark has a more
Maybe
finite
said
figure,
it, I
but
didn't
Mr.
hear
Chairman,
it.
it's over $13 million
13.
is where we stand right now.
Right. Great. Thank you.
Committee, any other questions? Any other questions? Please, if we want to shed some light, we'll start over.
One other
please,
question,
Vice
Mr.
Chair
Chairman. And this transfer of this 6 million forward to the trust on that bill, just remind us, was that a time limited deal or is that until statute changes?
Mr. Chairman, in terms of the Outdoor Recreation and Tourism Trust, that is not time limited. It will continue to tip year over year.
And once again, I think I said 4 million a year. It's 4 million a biennium.
Mr. Chairman, it's 6 million total. 2 million
Right.
of it we can use a projects for goes into the permanent account
Biennium.
per biennium. That is correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Committee, any other questions? Please, let's proceed.
We got to fill that baby up.
Mr. Chairman and committee, great to see you all again. Thank you for the opportunity to present. Mark Tesoro, I'm the manager of the Wyoming Office of Outdoor Recreation, also the secretary of the Outdoor Recreation and Tourism Trust Fund Board. Jeremiah covered a lot of great ground, so I'm not going to rehash any of that, but just wanted to say in the many years that I've been on boards and organizations, I've yet to work with a board that has been as engaged and dedicated as this trust fund board. Chairman Riemann and Vice Chair Mike Jones have just been great to work with. A lot of great leadership from them. There's been a lot of effort in this past year on working on the guidelines and the rules. This 9-member board that we have is very thoughtful and engaged and meticulous in their deliberations in crafting the language for this trust fund. None of us have ever stood up a state board before, so everyone wants to get it right. And, they have worked very hard this past year to get this off the ground. We've worked very closely with the AG's office, of course, and that process has been, very good. A lot of help out of the AG's office. We did have a pretty extensive timeline that we were trying to adhere to when we first had our couple of meetings to get this up and running. And I wouldn't say that we're right exactly on track, but we're very close to where we want it to be, I believe. Would like to recognize a few folks. Bryn Hirschman, of course, our grants coordinator, who I work very closely with, has been behind the scenes doing much of the heavy lifting in helping rewrite and write some of the language for the guidelines and the rules. Just been a real asset to our office, to our agency in this whole process, including that, working with all of the board members in getting all of their travel lined up, meetings arranged. And so that's just been, a very indispensable part to, I think, the board, and I think these gentlemen would agree as well. Also like to recognize Director Bob Budd for his involvement with our process. Much of course, much of the original language for the Outdoor Recreation and Tourism Trust Fund is kind of mirrored after the WWNRT language. And he's been at 2 of our meetings to present and talk and help kind of handhold us and walk us through some of what the pitfalls that they've had, some things to watch out for, some things to be aware of. But he's just been very helpful, and we are grateful for that. The grant application process, as Chairman Riemann said, is ready to go. We are ready to go in our office, and the board is. There will be a press release that will go out tomorrow morning, and we're ready to start accepting those applications. People that are interested, agencies, communities, nonprofits, our tribal partners can go to wyorec.com, wyorec.com, and there is a place on there that you can go and fill out the application. That is live. I checked it again this morning, so we are ready to go on that part. And then just like Chairman Riemann said, we are hopeful to be ready to go and put money on the ground this summer. Anything under $200,000 can be approved by that 9-member board. And of course, anything over that has to go to the Select Natural Resource Funding Committee. And one other quick note is we did have an operating expense of about operating budget of about $50,000 for this first year for the board. We've only spent about $20,000, so the board is very cognizant and frugal in our meetings. Of course, that will probably go up a little bit as we start doing site visits to these locations. But the board is very aware of that as well. So I think with that, I would stand with it for any questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. And members, any questions? Representative Storr?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I think we're all aware, that the budget on the House side had a $400,000 appropriation for specifically to trails, but not specific to a project. So I was wondering how should that get through? How can you integrate that into its project, into what you're doing, so it's not a one-off necessarily? I'm just curious whether you've thought about that.
The House is a little bit different amendment than the Senate. The Senate's pretty specific, so that'll be negotiated out. But yeah, go ahead. Anybody are you involved in that? Are you?
Representative Storr, I think there would be a lot of moving parts behind that in order to stand up that granting process. That would probably be a little separate than what we're doing. But from my understanding, there would be some moving parts in order to make that happen.
Okay, thank you. So just remind us again, you're going to open this up starting, tell us again.
The Representative Harshman, the press release will go out tomorrow. We can start accepting applications right away.
And this will just be a continuous process of accepting and meeting and granting or denying and so on. And so,
yes, sir.
Is there any way, where we'll be able to see those? Can you see them online? Who's these applications? I mean, it'd be interesting to see what kind of projects people are bringing for. Are they all trails or are they all those kind of things? So go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, our intention to follow what you've seen from the Wildlife and Natural Resource Trust. All of those will be publicly referenced. We will site visit all of them. And I'm fully expecting that they're going to well exceed what we have available to us. So one of my hopes is to bring that to you and say, hey, here's what people are suggesting the need is. We were only able to do this. Can we look to get some additional funding into the account?
Any other questions? I just you mentioned the state of Utah, 40 million a year. And looks like we have, I don't know, a couple million a year. Just I mean, is that kind of the gold standard? That's in my mind. I mean, it's just gone crazy in that state, and we actually have as much product room, maybe more. And any comments on that? I mean, I guess I want to plant the seed. What's the dream, the big picture out there?
Representative Harshman, I think the gold standard is the WWNRT with 200 million in their account. I mean, we would love to see something like that. Our neighboring states are pumping money hand over fist into outdoor recreation. And it's, we're at a start right now.
Members, and there was a little budget amendment. I think it was the last one of the day, about 9:30 at night. And just so members in the future, just it's the way we've done this over the years. We've kind of intercepted tips just to kind of, fund some of these smaller things to kind of get you going and get you off the budget and really get you rolling, just like we did with, it took us 20 years to fully fund, and we could put more money in wildlife. So I think the members who, keep working that and keep working these tips, because we'll get into another boom here. And it's a great way to save that and invest in the future. So thank you. And just really appreciate your service on these boards. I mean, Wyoming, people have, I don't even have a full appreciation, but it is incredible. The hundreds and hundreds of Wyomingites who volunteer on these boards all across the state on every subject, everything imaginable. So really appreciate your service. So thank you. Members, anything? Representative Storer has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just comment, and as much as I appreciate the Wildlife and Natural Resource Trust Fund and what it does, I think it's important to think about the projects that that your board will fund and recognize, like the PRCA is an economic driver for the state as well. So I just think that's worth noting. What were the dates for the Saratoga meeting?
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, we will meet in Saratoga, April 28th and 29th.
Great.
Which is the 2 days before the summit happens.
Vice Chair, did you have any comments or?
Just quickly, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This has been a very rigorous process, and I think the state could be really proud of the work that's gone into this foundation. It's very, very detail oriented. We would be lost without our chairman. Obviously, his strengths as we do as county commissioners, and as well as the support from the Outdoor Recreation Department and State Parks and Cultural Resources. We've got a good product. At that, there were points that we got to that we're not going to get this perfected and polished right out of the gate, but we have a commitment to go and look at it yearly, to look at the process and to continue to improve it. So I think it's a good start. A lot of work has been done, and thank you for the time.
Yeah, great, thank you. Members, any other discussion? Okay, go ahead, come on and join us. Yeah. Introduce yourself, who you represent. Hey, you show up to a meeting, you might be called on, so go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, Chris Floyd, Deputy Director, State Parks and Cultural Resources. Want to echo all the thanks that Mark bestowed upon our board, our chairman, our vice chairman. They've done great work, and they've had to get into a lot of details to get to where they are today, and we're excited to be opening this up tomorrow. Communities have been waiting on this opportunity for a long time. We've had these community collaboratives around the state for several years. They've been working on projects, developing ideas, and they've just been waiting on the funding. We're going to be oversubscribed, but we can do a lot of good with what we have. Just for reference, speaking of that, 4 years ago, we put out requests for those ARPA grant funds, and we had over $120 million in requests for outdoor recreation projects. A lot of those are going to come back. There's a lot of new ones too, but it's exciting times, exciting stuff. It's going to be a great start. We're happy to be here as an agency because we've needed sort of a Swiss Army knife type grant program for outdoor recreation for a long time. And when this program came about, we took it on without any additional staff or funding. We absorbed it into our agency. It was that important for us to do it. And so we're just excited to be here. Looking forward to all the great things that are going to happen with this.
Oh, that's great. More product, man. More out-of-staters paying our taxes. It's a beautiful thing.
So appreciate you, all your good work. Members, anything else? Okay, anything else for the good of the order? Anybody else want to address the committee? Director Bud. I don't think the chairman shared all the agenda with us. So we want to appreciate your information you shared with us today. Look forward to the update.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Bob Budd, Director of Wildlife Natural Resource Trust. This is my home committee. Normally, we will do this throughout the year. I know you don't have much time, so luckily you've got a lot of reading material there. But the purpose of my being here is to report to you on things that you're interested in, anything that I can bring to light. Just a couple things that I would point out. We spent almost $70 million last year. The bulk of that obviously was fire recovery money, but we also had money for highway crossings. There was a $6 million allocation for the Kemmer Highway. That's beyond what we've ever done. And that's only possible because I have a tremendous board and a massive staff of one other individual that we got all that out there. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. Clearly, you know what's in the budget. You know what we're looking at. You know what the challenges we have are. I appreciate those of you who supported that as we tried to maintain that funding on the House side. Hopefully, we'll be able to do that. I will tell you that as far as the invasive species, we are already, the 8 million that is remaining in the budget on the House side is already oversubscribed. The 19 million that's for fire recovery, half of that will probably go into fires that occurred last year. So it's not a little thing. It's a very real thing. And it's probably something we're going to have to look at as even a sideline that's funded separately for a number of years. We can't take away from every other project we do just to do invasives. We've got river projects, we've got wetlands, we have all those other things that you're all familiar with. And at this point, it's a little daunting to think all of that, but we have great partners out in the field, over 150 different partners that we work with, and they're great. And I've got a working board, as you mentioned, Mr. Vice Chairman. That's what makes this work, is they're the boots on the ground. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. And obviously always happy to take you out in the field and see what we do. So with that, I'd stand for questions.
Members, any questions? The director? And so I think it was 2004, we passed the law, set up I was actually on this committee then, and we had some folks, former legislators, really a dream from the 70s, and we got broke for 20 years. So we had some more money recently, filled it up to that goal, but really, I think you guys want to keep growing this trust. I don't think we want to just sit and say we're done. So again, during these boom times, continue to tip a little bit of money into these things. It'd be really important for our future. So,
Mr. Chairman, just to respond to that, if you just look at what the impacts of inflation have been on this program since 2005, when the legislation was adopted, a fish ladder or a bypass, those doubled in the course of 2 years, a few years ago. Cost of concrete, the cost of steel, the cost of rock, the cost of transportation. So what looked really big at 200 million back in 2005, we're probably half of where we should be. The new model, the endowment model, hopefully will help us inflation proof that to some point. But you're absolutely correct. The only way you keep these things going is you've got to keep up with what's happening inflation-wise and demand-wise. And as the previous speakers outlined, demand outpaced us by far the first few years. It still does. But the difference is that the quality of the projects is so much higher and they're so much bigger. So I appreciate that.
Quick little AI search of that, 200 million in 2005 is about 332 million today. So yeah, we'll keep working, but really appreciate all your work. It's been really state changing. It's changed our state. We'll continue to, so long after we're all done. So appreciate you. Members? Okay, anyone else here in the room want to address the committee? Was there a question? Oh, I'm sorry, Representative Khan.
Not a question. I just wanted to say
about my appreciation for this gentleman here and the hard work that he's done with one other staff member. And every project that's been done is top-notch, high-quality work. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Tuesday, we're planning on maybe Thursday. We'll see as the chairman calls the meeting. We're adjourned. All right.